So far, we have discussed the technical operation, technical. So far, we have discussed the technical, operational, and economic drawback of the conventional grid. Now, let us move to another equally important aspect: the environmental impact of the existing power system. Today, almost every country is talking about clean energy, net zero carbon emissions, green technologies, and sustainable development. But have you ever wondered why the power sector receives so much attention? The reason is simple. Electricity generation is one of the largest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions worldwide. Therefore, if we want to protect our environment, the electricity sector must also become cleaner and smarter. Let us understand the three major environmental drawbacks of the conventional grid. The first one is the high carbon emission. So, before understanding this problem, let me ask you a simple question. Where does most of our electricity comes from? Many people immediately answer solar energy or wind energy, but in reality, especially in India, a significant portion of electricity is still generated from coal-based thermal power plants. Natural gas and diesel generator also contribute to electricity generation. Now, what happens when the coal is burned? Coal combustion releases several harmful gases into the atmosphere. The most important among them is carbon dioxide. Apart from CO2, coal plants also emit sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and particulate matter. These gases contribute to global warming, climate change, and acid rain, air pollution. Now think about this. Every time electricity demand increases, thermal power plants burns more coal. More coal means more carbon emission. Therefore, the conventional grid indirectly contributes to environmental degradation. This is one of the biggest reasons why governments across the world are encouraging to renewable energy. Then the second limitation is the limited renewable energy integration. This is one of the most important reasons behind the development of smart grid. As we discussed earlier, the conventional grid was designed many decades ago. At that time, electricity was generated mainly by large centralized thermal and hydroelectric power plants. The flow of electricity was simple, but today's scenario is completely different. Today, electricity can be generated almost anywhere, on the roof of your house, on the roof of your college, in a solar park, from a wind turbine, from biomass, even from batteries and electric vehicles. Renewable energy sources are distributed as well as variable. What do I mean by variable? Suppose a solar plant generates 100 megawatt at 12 noon. Will it generate the same power at 7 pm? No, because there is no sunlight. Similarly, wind turbines generate electricity only when sufficient wind is available. Therefore, renewable generation keeps changing continuously. The conventional grid was never designed to manage such continuously varying generation. As a result, large-scale renewable integration becomes difficult. Without proper communication, automation, energy storage, and intelligent control, renewable energy cannot be fully utilized. The third environmental drawback is the inefficient energy utilization. Every unit of electricity generated requires resources. If electricity comes from thermal power plants, coal is consumed. If electricity is wasted, the coal used to produce the electricity is also wasted. Now think about what happens in the conventional grid. Transmission losses occur, distribution losses occur, poor demand management increases wastages. Consumers cannot monitor their electricity consumption. There is no intelligent scheduling of loads. As a result, a considerable amount of electrical energy is wasted before it performs useful work. This unnecessary wastage reduces the overall efficiency of the power system. It also increases fuel consumption, operating cost, and environmental pollution. In other words, the conventional grid not only wastes electricity It also wastes natural resources. So now let us connect everything we have learned. The conventional grid produces higher carbon emissions, cannot efficiently integrate renewable energy, and wastes valuable electrical energy. Now think about the smart grid. What does the smart grid offer? It supports solar energy, wind energy, battery energy storage system, electric vehicles, demand response, energy management system, and intelligent control. All these technologies reduces environmental impact while improving energy efficiency. Therefore, one of the primary objective of smart grid is to make electricity generation cleaner, greener, and more sustainable. So let us summarize the three environmental drawbacks. So far in today's lecture, we have completed four categories of drawback. So let us summarize the three environmental drawbacks. The first one is the high carbon emissions due to fossil fuel. High carbon emission due to fossil fuel. Then the second one is the limited renewable energy integration. Energy integration. Then third one is the inefficient energy utilization. Due to transmission losses, poor demand management, and lack of intelligent control. So these challenges not only affect the power system but also impact the environment and future generations. So this is why the countries around the world are investing heavily in smart grid technologies. So far, we have discussed the drawback of the existing grid from the perspective of engineer, utility companies, and the environment. Now let us look the power system from a different perspective. Let us think like a consumer. Every one of us uses electricity every day, whether it is our homes, college, industries, shopping malls, or hospitals. Everyone depends on electricity. Now let me ask you a simple question. What do consumers expect from electricity utility? Most people will say continuous power supply, low electricity bills, fast complaint resolution, accurate billing, good voltage quality, quick restoration during faults, excellent customer service. Unfortunately, the conventional grid is unable to satisfy many of these expectations. Now let us understand the consumer related drawback one by one. So first one is the no smart metering. The conventional meter only displays the cumulative energy consumed. It cannot provide detailed information. Now you can compare this with a smartphone. Your smartphone tells you daily screen time, battery uses, internet consumption, and application wise statistics. Similarly, a smart meter provides detailed information about electricity consumption. Consumers can monitor their energy uses in real time. They can identify which appliances consume the most electricity. This helps them reduce electricity bills. Therefore, one major drawback of the conventional grid is the absence of smart metering. Now, suppose your monthly electricity bill increases from 1500 to 2800. Without a smart meter, you simply know that the bill has increased, but you don't know the reason. With smart metering, you can identify whether the increase occurred because of the air conditioner, water heater, electric vehicle charging, or any other appliances. Now let us discuss another interesting concept, that is demand response. So demand simply means the amount of electrical power required by consumer at particular time. Electricity demand is not constant throughout the day. Early morning demand is relatively low. During office hours it increases. In the evening when people return home, switch on lights, fans, televisions, air conditioner and cook food, electricity demand reaches its highest value. This is called peak period. Now imagine that the utility requests consumers, if possible, please delay the operating high power appliances until later at night because electricity demand is currently very high. If consumers responded by shifting their electricity uses, the utility can reduce peak demand. This interaction between utilities and consumers is known as a demand response. Unfortunately, the conventional grid provides no such communication. Consumers continue using electricity normally, regardless of grid condition. As a result, utilities must build larger generating stations just to meet demand during a few peak hours. This increases infrastructure cost. Smart grid solve this problem by introducing time of day tariff, real time pricing, demand response programs, and smart appliances. Now let us understand to another important drawback, that is limited consumer participation. The conventional grid, the conventional power system treats consumers only as a electricity users. Consumers simply consumes electricity. They pay the electricity bill. Their role ends there. But today's electricity ecosystem is completely different. Consumers can install rooftop solar systems. Consumers can own battery storage. Consumers can charge electric vehicles. Consumers can even sell excess electricity back to the utility. So these consumers are called prosumers. Unfortunately, the conventional grid provides very limited opportunities for consumers' participation. There is no proper mechanism for peer to peer energy trading, distributed generation, vehicle to grid operation, or intelligent energy management. In smart grid, consumers become active participants instead of passive electricity users. Then, the final consumer related drawback is the poor service quality. Suppose there is a power failure. The consumer has no information about why the outage occurs, when supply will restore, or whether maintenance work is in progress. Sometimes complaints registration itself becomes difficult. Voltage fluctuation may damage appliances. Electricity bills may contain error. Fault restoration may take several hours. Naturally, consumers becomes dissatisfied. Good customer service requires continuous communication, accurate billing, fast fault restoration, and reliable electricity supply. The conventional grid struggles to provide all these services. Smart grid significantly improve customer service through mobile application, then online complaint system, smart meter, real-time outage notification, and automated restoration. So today we have discussed major drawbacks of the existing power grid. Let us quickly revise all these five categories. So technical problems. Then one in technical problems we have discussed one-way electricity flow, high transmission and distribution losses, poor voltage regulation, power quality issues, then frequent power outages, and aging equipment. In operational problems we have discussed manual monitoring, slow fault detection, limited automation, inefficient asset utilization, and lack of real-time data. In economical problems, we have discussed high operational cost, then energy theft, billing inaccuracies, high maintenance expenses. In environmental problems, we will discuss high carbon emissions, then limited renewable energy integration, inefficient energy utilization. And in consumer related problem, we have discussed no smart metering, then no demand response, limited consumer participation, and poor service qualities. So these problems clearly indicates that although the conventional grid has served us successfully for many decades, it is no longer sufficient to meet the requirement of the modern power system. Now let me ask you one final question. If the conventional grid has so many limitations, what should the future of power system look like? Should it have two-way communication? Should it automatically detect faults? Should consumer participate in electricity generation? Should renewable energy be integrated more efficiently? Should smart meters replace conventional meters? The answer to all these questions is yes. And this is the exactly where the concept of the smart grid begins. So in our next lecture, we will study need of smart grid. Interestingly, every drawback we discuss today becomes the reason for introducing smart grid technologies. So don't miss the next lecture because it connects directly with today's discussion. Thank you.